Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about The Elder Scrolls 6, and now The Elder Scrolls 6 is still a long way away. But when the day does come in like 5 or 6 years that it does actually release, the biggest thing I think standing in its way for being well received is actually Skyrim, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Because Skyrim is a very well known and very celebrated game for, well, a lot of reasons, from just being a damn good game to having what is probably the biggest modding community in all of gaming. I mean, they don't have exact numbers, but I'm just going to take a wild guess. And this community has also matured over many years, but all of these really excellent qualities for Skyrim, I think, actually pose problems for TES 6 finding its place. And even if it can live up to its own hype, which I'm fairly confident it can, TES 6 is likely still going to start out living somewhat in Skyrim's shadow just because of its really huge presence, for the reasons I just mentioned, and I'm going to break those down now. So, to start off, Skyrim really is just a good game to begin with. It was one of the first Elder Scrolls games to really feel like it was with the times in its graphics and its gameplay, and the update from the Gamebryo engine to its offshoot, the Creation engine, was definitely a huge benefit in that, as well as it allowed things like the dragons to be created. It fixed things like Oblivion's very unique faces. And even though Skyrim did suffer in some ways from some streamlining with things like its RPG elements, it is still strong in those areas regardless, and there are many mods to fix pretty much all of those problems, which leads to my next point. That being that Skyrim has a huge modding community and a mod for almost everything you could ever need or want. From more serious gameplay fixes and expansions that add new lands and quests, all the way to really ridiculous stuff that adds like Trek to Skyrim, so you know, it is all covered. There is nothing you can't get. And this has allowed Skyrim to grow to something much larger than I think anyone could have imagined when it first launched. And to add to that, Skyrim has grown to the point that with its mods, it's probably the biggest Elder Scrolls game ever. And with the absolutely massive things like Skywind and Skyblivion from Elder Scrolls Renewal Project, and the Beyond Skyrim mods in Cyrodiil, Morrowind, Atmora, Blackmarsh, and everywhere else in between, it's only getting even bigger. But none of these projects would have even probably been possible without the time to work on them, and had another Elder Scrolls game just come along a few years later, many of these mod projects might not have even happened, at least not been made in Skyrim. But because Skyrim has had so much time to mature along with its community and have so many of these projects been able to be realized, so much so that they can really, there's a community just around the mods in Skyrim as well as Skyrim as a whole, and that makes this one of the biggest reasons I think TES 6 is going to have trouble finding a place beyond just the time it's had to build hype, but also because Skyrim has had a massive legacy built over all these years that the Elder Scrolls 6 now has to find some way that it can fit in and be something new and unique enough that it will distinguish itself as more than just a new Skyrim. But I do think there are some ways it can do that. For example, I think one of the best areas that TES 6 can improve over Skyrim is fixing the issue of streamlining that I mentioned earlier, by doing things like re-implementing the class system from Oblivion and Morrowind, and making the different races of Tamriel feel more distinct and individual from one another, and even down to smaller things like making towns and cities bigger again like in Morrowind and Oblivion to bring back that more grand scale. But these are just, of course, one or two ways that I think that TES 6 can improve, and there are definitely many, many others. And that is going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe for more content like this. Share your opinions down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.